A lot of people are asking, what is going to happen with Social Security? Is Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, are these on the ballot for this upcoming midterm election? Well, I want to give you a little bit of a Social Security update because we did get some news. Not a lot, but some. Just today, President Biden spoke about Social Security and about Medicare and about Medicaid and talked about this and really pushed to see what the American people want. Well, here's what I can tell you. According to the Social Security Administration, Social Security was started as a social insurance policy. And this was put forth by President Roosevelt. And the point of this was to address the permanent problem of economic security for elderly people. And they did this by creating a work-related contributory system. Now, that's great. But over time, that's not how Social Security evolved. The federal government has screwed up the entire program. But somehow, just somehow, now in 2022, and mind you, the final week before the midterm elections, the government is trying to come out and fight to ensure that Social Security stays around for years to come. Well, why wait? Why did we wait so far into 2022 when President Biden said himself he was going to give every single Social Security beneficiary an additional $200 per month? That never happened. He's never brought that up. Now, in a campaign rally for Representative Lauren Underwood today, President Biden, he spoke and he said, and I quote, "Folks, I come to Illinois to talk about two programs that reflect who we are as Americans. And Lauren understands this to her core. To her core, Social Security and Medicare." That is what he came to discuss. Well, even Lauren Underwood, she had this to say. And she said, and I quote, "We are in the fight of our lives for the future of our country. No matter your political party, Medicare and Social Security belong to all of us." Now, she is a Democrat. And obviously Democrats support Social Security. Republicans support some social benefits, some social programs, but not all of them because of the wasteful spending. Now, what she said is exactly right. And again, bear with me. I'm going to put myself in here. If I say we, I do mean we because we keep on paying into the system. Now I'm only 35 years old. I've only been paying into the system for, X amount a year. So I still have a long ways to go. But when I retire, when I need these benefits, okay, I hope that they're still around. They're still there so that maybe I need them to just live and put food on the table, right? Buy medications. If that's the case, I want to make sure that they're there. Now, I've heard this from many people. Okay, many people. We pay into the system not because we want to, but because we are required to by law. Now, if you pay into a system and that was started as a social insurance, right? You expect it's going to be there when you need it, right? Now, here is what we know right now. President Biden is, he's right. He's right when he comes out and says that there's two Senate Republicans that are looking for ways to reduce Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. He's right. There's no secret there. Both senators have come out publicly and stated that, yeah, they are opposed to it, right? One even came out and said that they want to pass legislation that would have Congress vote on legislation every 5 years as to whether or not to fund Social Security. Now, here's what I can tell you there. This would be a very slippery slope because coming out and passing something like this, even if you're Republican or Democrat, what's going to happen is, let's say, let's just use our current administration as an example, right? We got Democrats in the presidency. We got Democrats controlling the House of Representatives and the Senate, right? It's a full sweep. Well, let's say Republicans in 2024 have a complete sweep. Well, here's the thing. What we don't want is major swings. We cannot handle major swings as an economy. It would be crippling to us. So it would be detrimental for Congress to come out and vote every 5 years as to whether or not provide funding to Social Security. The issue here as well is if Democrats say, "Oh yeah, we're going to increase Social Security, benefits. We're going to lower the age. We're going to provide, dental, vision, and hearing, and all these things," right? Great, that's great. But then Republicans come in, let's say 5 years later, and say, "You know what? We're not going to provide these things. We're going to take these things away. We're going to spend this money on X, on this agenda, this part of our economy, to pay down the deficit that Democrats have added over the last 5 years," right? That's what we are likely to see. But here's the truth. According to multiple lawmakers, cutting Social Security would be political suicide for any person or party that votes to get it done. Remember before the last election, okay, about 2 years ago, and that was a presidential election. It was a big election. We saw many lawmakers not wanting to vote. They didn't want to come out on record and vote for or against a specific bill. Why? Because their voters, their constituents, could potentially look at that and be like, "I didn't know that they were against that. Oh, I didn't know they were for it." So guess what? Many lawmakers, they have come out and publicly stated they don't even read the legislation. They don't even read the bill. They just pass it or don't pass it based off what other people are telling them. So they're worse than you and I. At least I do my research. You're here watching this video, so at least you're doing some research there. But many lawmakers, they just listen to what somebody tells them and, "Hey, pass it. You're going to like it, pass it." Or, "No, we're Republican. We're not going to pass that bill." That's really it. More than 65 million Americans collect some form of social benefits each and every month. More than 47 million people receive Social Security. So cutting benefits to this many people, this would be devastating. And according to many lawmakers, it would only work if other social programs could lift them up. For example, one lawmaker stated that cutting benefits to Social Security, this could work, but this would actually increase food insecurity. So how do we combat that? Well, we provide additional SNAP benefits. So we take money away from Social Security. Let's say we take $100 every single month away from Social Security, and then we give it to them through SNAP benefits. What's the difference? What is really the difference there, right? Other than the fact that you are taking money away from Social Security so they can't go and do anything for, let's say, buy gas. They can't go and pay for a utility bill. Can't go and pay for, let's say, rent for either, apartment, their land, whatever, right? They can't do any of that stuff. All they could do with additional SNAP benefits is buy food. That's it. That lawmaker says cutting benefits would also increase homelessness. Many people could not afford to buy a house, rent an apartment, nothing. So what would the federal government have to do? They'd have to come in and add more affordable housing. That would be a must. However, that would be very expensive and it would take a lot of time. So cutting benefits is not as easy as just making a cut and moving forward. There would need to be some form of supplemental income somewhere. And that's the other thing is, okay, if we cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, do we provide people with a guaranteed income check? They're just like, cities are doing all around the country. It's possible, but again, what's the benefit of doing that? So there's a lot of discussions here. And even like Senator Joe Manchin said this past week, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid all have serious funding issues. But how do we fix these issues, right? And it's because of all these issues that he's actually not looking to cut benefits at all. That's not what he's doing. He just doesn't want to expand Social Security. But he does say that Congress must consider raising taxes in order to fund these programs. Even if it's a temporary tax increase, we have to find a way to increase funding to these programs. But until this happens, there's no possible way to increase benefits to these social programs without adding to our national deficit. And again, he's one that he is looking at our national deficit very closely. So here's what I can tell you. Social Security is on the ballot. Even President Biden said this just the other day. Social Security is on the ballot. Now, I'm not saying Democrats are going, if you vote Democrat, it means, oh yeah, we're going to get more benefits. There's a chance, but at the same time, understand, with every positive, there's a negative. If we do see Democrats gain more seats in the Senate and they hold the majority in the House, then they could have the majority even after Senator Joe Manchin votes against this. They could potentially increase Social Security. They could expand it. And if they do that, again, that would be a pro to a lot of people. Here's the downside, is it's most likely going to add more to our national deficit. As of right now, the United States is struggling with inflation. Okay? So that's an issue there. But if Republicans, okay, get this, if Republicans win and they control the House and the Senate, or even one, here's the issue there, is there's probably not going to be any changes. There would probably not be any changes to Social Security, but at the same time, and again, I say this because you're going to have a split Congress, right? Or you got Republicans controlling the House and the Senate, but you got a Democratic president, which means he's going to veto every single bill. But the reason why this is so important is because if Republicans are to win, then there's a high likelihood we don't see any bill pass over the next 2 years, unless it's highly bipartisan, which anything on Social Security would not be bipartisan, which would mean, right, we don't see any increases, but at the same time, we are likely to see inflation go down, which eventually will help let us pay more bills, right? Our dollar would go a little bit further. So that's kind of what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise, I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates again. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.